As an actor, he's performed everything from Beckett and Pinter to Mel Brooks and the Farrelly Brothers. He's a musician who writes all the music for his best-selling DVDs and is undoubtedly the biggest-selling comedian in the UK today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Lee Evans, Even Closer.
Lee, here we are again. Sat down again.
I know.
Once more. Chat time. It's interesting, looking back over your work, as I have been, before I was going to come sit down with you today, the scale of this thing has just got bigger and bigger and bigger with each tour. Was this something that you were anticipating?
No, it wasn't. When we was doing the alternative comedy circuit, I remember actually there was nowhere to go. You do the circuit, you do Friday Night Live one weekend, and then the next weekend you'd be back on stage with Arthur Smith and whoever, at the Comedy Store or Jongleurs or wherever you're performing. So there was nowhere for comedians to go. And then I think it was either Jack D or Frank Skinner or Eddie Izzard and stuff, and dare I say myself, sort of wanted to see if it would work in theatres. So we started to do theatres, and people turned up. And we couldn't believe that there was somewhere else to go, because on the alternative circuit you just seemed to hit a ceiling. There was never anywhere to go. You're doing a bit of telly and then you go back to the circuit, where people shout at you and they're sick in front of you and all that sort of stuff, Get off, you crap! But we made this sort of jump into theatres, and it was a risk. We took a chance. We did Wembley Arena to see if it would go into arenas, and people came.
The jump from, because some theatres are quite intimate. They were designed, the Victorian theatres, to foster that sense of intimacy, that closeness with the crowd.
I know,
but arenas are very different.
I know, but I was always frustrated by that. I was always frustrated by the limitations, first of all, of a comedy club, because you couldn't do anything. You couldn't do music, or you couldn't do anything with the set. And I wanted to write sort of like rude set pieces. I was always fascinated by sound effects and music and all that. But you couldn't do that in a comedy club. You could do stand-up or bring a prop on or whatever, but the limitations of the club always held you back. And then when you got into theatres, like you say, like Leeds City Varieties, which is a fantastic small theatre to do because the people are right there, but then you start getting more ambitious in your head and you want to do bigger things. And then the sort of first show went really well, and then we all went, let's do a tour. Yeah. Let's see what would happen if we do a tour. And then it got into a situation where we was having these discussions. You went, we do 9 nights in Manchester. Why don't we just do one at a big place?
Yeah.
Or 14 nights in Nottingham or whatever it is.
But it seems that even though you do this, you scale up to the larger rooms, the demand still ramps up. And so you still end up, you're in Cardiff, you have to do 4 or 5 nights in Cardiff at the CIA, which is like a 5,000-6,000
But we
room.
didn't expect that. That was the thing. We didn't know that was going to happen. We thought we'd do one night in Cardiff.
But it's like Field of Dreams. It's like if you build it, they will come. It doesn't matter how big you seem to make your tours. It's like, we only like Evans if he's working 5 nights a week in the town.
Well, we do. Our audience are like that, though. They will come. If you meet them outside the stage door, they're ordinary, working-class people, and they say, no, we're going out. We're going to see Lee, and that's it. It doesn't matter. They could cancel trains. There'd be no planes or whatever. They still turn up. They'd come and say, no, I want to see what he's doing. Like, because they've seen you over the years, and I really respect that. I've actually been in a venue and someone shouts something out because they're drunk or something, and you've seen people around and go, now listen, if you're going to do that here while Lee's on, I'm going to hit you. I've seen that happen. You go, oh, blimey,
You seem very aware of the responsibilities of the job.
Massive. I do so. Actually, my wife has a go at me for it, because I know this is going to sound a bit mad, but I do feel responsible. I do, overly so, and it's really tiring. Because you think, I know that these people have paid money to see you. You're very privileged to be able to do it, because you've the old days when we had nothing, and it's really good to be doing this nice gig, the things you sort of dreamt about doing when you were a kid, And I do absolutely 24 hours a day think about that. When we're on tour, I think, no, and you get blokes on the stage door go, we had so-and-so here last week, they just don't have to sign nothing, just go. And you're like, no, I'll stand there, I'll sign stuff if people have come to see us. And I do, absolutely, I really do feel a responsibility for people that have paid their money to come and see us.
And of course, it's a bigger work operation as well. How big's the crew on your tour?
Well, it started off of 2.
You and Gratz.
Gratz.
Yeah.
And we turn up at a theatre. Gratz has been touring with myself and you. And Jack D for years. And it's just big. It used to be just me and Gratz turn up at a theatre, and Gratz would say, "Oh, we'll have a bit of white light. We got a backcloth. Don't worry about it." But then Gratz, when it got to arenas, Gratz was suddenly the governor. He had a belt with penknives on it, and he's going, "Yeah, get them lights over there, you." And they're all these crew are listening to him. You know what I mean? And he'd sort of come back to me and go, "You're right. Everything all right?"
Yeah.
yeah. You go, "Right, just you lot over there." You know, he was. Good luck to him, because he is a creative force on tour as well. Because if I say to him, "Listen, Gratz, I want to get these spots and so on," and then he'll go off and he'll have a chat with the lighting blokes and then sort it all out. You know, I mean, like on the last tour, I think I said to Gratz, I said, "Wouldn't it be great to have this big giant earth?" As we're singing the song, going around the audience, and okay, we'll get a giant earth film, you know, because and then we found this bloke, and he says, "Yeah, I'll do it for 50 quid. I've got my own earth." And what he does is he fills it with helium, and he clips it to his belt, and it's got on wires like this, and he just sort of traipses around the audience with this giant. And then I think it was either me or Gratz or one of the crew was talking to him, and he let it go. He let it go, and it went up the ceiling, and all the crew watched it go. I went, "Oh no, there goes your earthly." And I said, "Oh no, there must be a way." And all the crew got out bows and arrows. They were shooting at it and chucking spears at it with like penknives on the thing to pop it, to bring it down. And it came down, and we managed to patch it up. I think just over, I think it was New South Wales. We put a patch on.
That was nice.
Yeah, and then we sort of got it up and going again.
The Elvises was a great image.
Yeah.
These things, when you think of these, there's you and, it's you. How many of these things are you like, you're in the car, I don't know, you're with the family, you know what, our next gig?
Well, the idea behind that was, because that was, I'm not sure, I think it might have been the first arena tour, and the notion in my head was always Elvis has left the building.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get loads of Elvises on, me leave the building, but leave them there. Thank you.
How much does that many Elvises run you?
Well, actually, I'll be honest with you, in the end, we didn't have enough. So we were out in the street in Cardiff going, "You look like Elvis." And the bloke goes, "What? No one's ever said that to me before, but all right, I'll come along and do the gig."
I think it's probably of all the towns in the world, Cardiff's a belter for Elvis lookalikes.
It is, you know.
They love a sideburn in Cardiff.
They love a sideburn, yeah, and a quiff. We had a great time, I have to say, on that particular show. I really liked Cardiff performing there. It's a great city to be.
Process from the very early knockings of a tour to it being finished.
Yeah.
Is that what, 2 years?
2 years. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how other people work. I've always worked the same. I'm quite an intense bloke, insecure, really insecure.
Yeah, I mean, it's all comics, really.
Well, yeah, that's what we're doing it for, I suppose. Yeah, exactly.
Does it start with you, or you and Stuart, who you write with, I know, and does things with you?
It starts with myself, writing loads of notes, and I get a big pile of notes about that big, which is about 4 hours worth of stuff. And then I'll go and see me mate Stuart, and then I'll go through it with him, and he'll go, "Nah, it's rubbish, that's crap." And then we sort of whittle it down to about 3 hours, and then we start writing together, basically like you would in a room with a mate,
Yeah.
Because we've known each other many, many years now, and we'll sit in a room, as you would, a mate, just chatting.
Yeah.
And then I'll sort of get my laptop out if I think something's funny, and then Stuart splits off, and I go off on my own and sort of try and figure it around.
How long before you put it on stage in any kind of form? Sort of start working it at little clubs and things. Is that part of the process as well?
Yep, about 6 months. We go and try it out in small clubs, and we do about 20 minutes of new material. And the people that run the Glee clubs in Cardiff and Birmingham have been really kind to us over the years, and they let us sort of go there every weekend and try stuff out. So we walk on stage with a bunch of notes. At the end of the gig, so we're not disturbing the gig at all.
Yeah.
And then you sort of see all the other comedians sort of like gather at the back and go, what's she doing there? And I always say, when I go in, I don't want to disturb you. I'm really sorry if I'm upsetting the gig, but I'm going on when they're all pissed anyway.
Yeah.
So that, so I'm not disturbing the gig, and they're fine with it. So we go on at the end and just try 20 minutes out. If some bits work, I'll go back to the hotel where I'm staying at. Then I'll rework it, and because I get really worried. I like things in their place.
And then you want it sort of in a finished shape before you do the first arena. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be how in your head you wanted it from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then once we're doing the arenas, because it changes in theatres, it changes in clubs, and then you start again switching it around. Because I didn't know, when you play an arena, if you go over time, they fine you. I didn't know you got fined.
That weird thing, it's that you're a very intense performer. It's like...
Yeah, but you're saying that to the management.
You've got enough pressure.
You say, look, I'm enjoying myself, the audience are enjoying it, can we just carry on? And they go, no, you've got to go, otherwise you get fined. Because one bloke in Newcastle was telling me, and he's absolutely right, he said, look, we got 15,000 people here in this arena, and if we just put them all out on the street at 12 o'clock, there's no trains, no buses or anything. Yeah. And so you need to be off stage at 11 o'clock so everyone can get home. Now, I didn't realise that.
I love you very much. Good night. God bless. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Looking back at the arena gigs, the things that I've noticed is you're changing as a performer as you get on. You're actually... It's weird. It's because you're actually calming down a little.
Yeah.
You're slightly less frenetic.
Yeah.
It's more considered. But the physicality, if anything, is more precise.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
still there, the energy and the physicality. But there appears more intent to it. It's
I know. Well, there's
thing.
a sort of like there's a catch to it, isn't there? Because like in the early days when we was doing that, everything was new. The alternative circuit was new. The comedy was new. There was people diving off of steps into a bowl of water. It was like ridiculous stuff that was going on stage, and everything was new. And you'd be pumping yourself up and having heart attacks on stage, and then and then I suppose as you go on, you sort of want to. As an individual, you want to grow and see if you can get better at what you do, and I suppose that's the trouble, because then it might even hold you up by going, oh God, maybe I shouldn't, or because in the old days you didn't really know much about it and you just went for it. I suppose.
Yeah, there was one bit that I saw that particularly that just for me it's almost like it's a very short little thing, but if I wanted to kind of explain how good you were to someone, I'd go, and it's a caravan joke.
Right.
And you talk about people that go on caravan in holidays, and you do this thing, and you go, we like going caravan because we like going to the wide open spaces. And then you do someone moving in a caravan, and you hit yourself like 30 times with the microphone moving around. Yeah. That is ballet, my friend. That's so precise.
I do like the wide open spaces, don't you, dear? Ow!
Do you know what? I love doing stuff like that. I absolutely love. I love physical stuff. The only problem is if you do that night after night after night, the pleasure you get from it is the audience laughing.
Yeah.
That to hear that sound is to me is amazing. I love that sound. That sound, I always feel that if that's happening, I'm doing something positive on the planet. I'm not killing no one. Nothing's happening at my gig. All they're doing is laughing. Yeah. So that's good. Unfortunately, that hurts, right? So after gig 127, banging yourself on the forehead and on the back of the head and all that, you get to that just before that joke's happening. You go, oh no, Oh no!
Here we go.
Here we go with their head banging with the microphone thing, and it hurts. And then you get to this point where you go, oh no, this is going to hurt. But then, you know, what levels that off is the laughter from the audience. So then that drives you on, sort of, to do it bigger. And
it's interesting for me. I mean, as another comedian, sort of looking at what you do, that you return to themes quite often. There's recurrent themes in your work, and always has been.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that you would think that you'd wrung every possible gag out of, you know, be it holidays or animals or your relationship, you know, with your wife or men and women. You can come back to them and there's new stuff, you know.
Yeah.
How does that?
I think generally our set, my material, is generally what I see. Yeah. And that's probably all I see, you know. I've been married for 25 years, so I see her every day, you know, and I've got a daughter, and we go shopping, and we go on journeys and stuff like that. So I can only talk about what I see. I don't physically write a note. You know, if you're down the pub and someone says, "Oh, I've got one here, right? Why do divers, you know, fall backwards off the back of a boat?" Right? Because otherwise, if they go forward, they end up in the boat. And I go, oh, I must write that down. What I do is I think I'm talking to somebody, and then about 6 months later, when I'm sat at my laptop, I go, oh, yeah, and then it just comes out somehow. I don't know how that happens, but it just does. And I think what you generally see in our set is generally what we get up to. Or I read the newspapers, and then I do find the world slightly ridiculous. And so I kind of write from that point of view.
I mean, I do like it when you know, I mean, it's you know, we to a certain extent want comedians to point out those things that we don't see, you know, but there was, when you did that thing about how squirrels will stop dead and stare at you.
Yeah.
But it's just that you had this little physical thing as well.
Because I've seen them do it, and I suppose you're just acting that out for the audience, aren't you, really?
It's when an animal just stops dead. You ever stare at a squirrel and they suddenly go... Fuck, he's going to go for me throat! You should try it, it works. You know, someone picks on you out here on a Friday or a Saturday, you looking at my bird, go like, fuck, I'll leave him alone, I think.
The simplicity of it is one thing, but, you know, the detail... Just the look, everything. It was just a perfect kind of collision. It's a Lee Evans moment.
Yeah, almost, I think, you know, we do that a lot in our house. I just said, I'll come in after being out in the garden or something like that, and I saw a squirrel just sort of do that, and then I'll sort of tell my wife, and she would go, oh, yeah, I know, there's loads of room there. But I actually, in my head, I find that quite funny. So, you will replicate it later on. If I find it funny, then I'll do it, and then see if it works in front of an audience. But what's quite nice with an audience is how then they connect with it. Yeah. They associate with it, which I find really interesting, because sometimes I write something and then I go, maybe that's just me. Surely I've just seen that. But then you go in front of an audience and you go, have you ever seen something? And they start laughing. You go, blimey, I thought that was just me. I mean, they connect with it somehow.
But you're very good at maintaining an ordinary life.
I don't do it on purpose. It's because I can't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to cope with it. Do you know what I mean? I would sort of.
How much of that do you leave to Heather to keep you on an even keel?
Yeah, I mean, she's always there to. She's always been the voice of reason, throughout our marriage. Yeah. You know, if I say to her, if I have a problem, she will come down to base level. But just tell him. But you can't just tell them. These people are important people. You know, they run the whole industry. Well, no, come on, that's it. Tell them. Yeah. Just say it. You know. We had that in America. I was working out in America for 2 years. I was writing, and I was at breaking point. You know, I was furiously writing, and we was doing films and all that. And then I took a script in one day, and they said, "Oh yeah, could you change this?" And I already had like 9 changes, and I was writing another one. And my wife came up with a visit, and she went, "Tell him we're going home." And I said, no, Ev, this is huge, you know, it's like Hollywood and all that. She went, I don't care who they are, we're going home. So we went home. Yeah. She said, no, you're turning it, you're not Lee anymore, you're sort of turning it to this mad head, you know. So we sort of went home.
Why do you have shit impressions of each other? If you was actually like that, no fucker would talk to you if you was out. You know, if you was at a party and your wife went, this is me,
How important is it to kind of do things outside of your comfort zone, like the acting I'm specifically thinking of here? I mean, you're doing stuff like Beckett.
Yeah.
That's not simple. That's not an easy gig. You know, you love to push yourself.
I do like to take risks. I've got to be honest. I mean, when I first went to art college when I was about 17, what they taught you to do was just say, is to hand yourself over, let yourself be free, and just embrace it. Yeah. And that was one thing that I learnt at art college, was just jump in and just see what happens. And I love doing that, because it's not only pushing yourself, like I suppose, you know, like someone will climb Everest to see if they could do it. Yeah. And I'm not frightened. I don't really care if it fails. I don't really care, because I've got nothing to fail anyway. I'm just a pony old stand-up, so I've got nothing to lose. So if it doesn't work in an acting sense or a musical or whatever, it doesn't really matter. At least I've gained a bit of experience.
Well, I mean, stand-up is the ultimate lone gunman career, more so than singer-songwriter. It's a real kind of introspective madman's career, I think.
You know.
But how much do you learn from working with someone like Gambon, you know?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You know, you sit in a rehearsal room for 4 months with Sir Michael Gambon, and you're going to learn some stuff. Yeah. You know, I mean, I remember on the very first day we opened the play, this Samuel Beckett play in the West End, and I was sat on the stage and I'm really shitting myself, because I'm thinking it's a Beckett play. I've always liked Beckett since years ago. I used to paint his pictures when I was at art college, and I was absolutely shitting myself, because I was looking from the perspective of stand-up comedy. Yeah. Whereas you turn up at a gig, you better be good and you better think on your feet, otherwise you die. But Michael was thinking from an actor's point of view, whereas listen to what I'm saying, and I'm going to perform for you. I couldn't get my head around that jump, and I was sat on the stage, and he said, "You look worried, what's the matter?" And I said, "Well, Michael, I'm shitting myself, mate. I really am. You know, we got a big crowd coming in tonight." And he went, "No, this is where the magic takes place. I'll show you. And it was unbelievable. The first night, he sat behind the curtain, really calm, like that. And I just looked round to him, and I realised that you're in the presence of a bit of a governor here. Yeah. And I felt so safe with him on stage. And the curtain opened, and he has the opening line. He just shouts, bellows he was sat in a wheelchair. He bellowed to the back of the audience. And, "Ah!" That's his first line. "Ah!" And I thought, well, this is fantastic. There isn't that tightrope you're walking. The play is written. It's a brilliant play. It's been tried and tested. The lines are perfection. And you know when you do them, the audience are like, they're straight on it and straight into it. So it was brilliant to do, and to feel so safe with Michael. Although I have to say, on the odd night we would get some of our crowd turn up expecting it to be like, hey, you know. And I'd come on, and I was a cripple in the show. Yeah. So I had one sort of like gammy leg, you know. I had a vitamin deficiency, so I'd walk on stage like that, and then you'd hear from the crowd, "Go on, monkey boy." Oh no. And Michael would be sat in his wheelchair, and he'd go. Yeah. So it was interesting, and you start to take this knowledge in. You just not, subconsciously you take it.
Even if you get through to a normal human being, it's no better, because all these companies now have got these call centres, but the idiot on the other end of the line's got a script to go by, and he can't come off the script. Fuck no. You ring them up and you go, "I'd like to open an account on the internet." And they go, oh, can I have your account number, please? Well, no, I ain't got one yet, because I'm not on the internet, am I? Oh yeah, gotcha. Can I have your account number, please? And they have a script to go by, but they wouldn't like it if we had a script and we stuck to our script. They wouldn't like that very much. You know, you get BT call you up to remind you to pay your bill, and they go, "Can I speak to the account holder, please?" And we go, "I am Spartacus." No, the account holder, please. "No, I am Spartacus."
Music, you can't get away from the music in the set. You have to put that in. That you love a song.
I do love a
sing.
Song. That's for me, that bit.
I know,
I feel so sorry for the audience when I start doing it.
You feel sorry for him.
I know. I'm sorry. I apologise. But it's something I've always done, and I do like to do it. And I got this I got this bit of a thing going on where I like to do a show.
Yeah.
In other words, you know, open with something kind of cool, put a few routines in there, and then sort of end off with some sort of thing, you know, or a finale. Or
Song and dance man. You're song and dance man.
Yeah, that's me, you know. I'm going to start tapping in a moment. But no, and I like to do that, and then I like to end off with a song, you know. But I always try and make the songs to have a meaning, some sort of meaning to them.
Yeah.
You know, or to have a theme of what the show was about in the first place. Like the last one, you know, the big tour was, you know, it was about the planet and what was going on with the war in Iraq, and it was kind of all that sort of stuff. And I do it in such a way that it's very light, and it's whether people sort of take it in or they don't take it in, it's up to them. And I'd rather just do something where people go, I don't quite understand what he's doing, but okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
You know, I quite like that.
Yeah.
It's not a message. I don't want to do any messages or anything. I'm just a comedian. My job is to comment, not to tell anybody what to think. It's not my
Is there not the temptation to, with you having such a broad reach?
No, it's because if you go, do you want A or B? I think they're both ridiculous. Which one do you want?
Yeah.
And then you give the choice to any, you know, you mention something. If you're going to mention something, give people a choice. You go, do you want A or B? They're both stupid. What do you want? And then it's whatever you choose. It's whatever you want to choose from that. But, you know, give some options.
You're big.
Very lucky. I'm lucky because, you know, you sort of think, God, this is quite amazing. You know, and I do have that chat with me manager. I've had this chat with me manager. I've said to him, I'm knackered. And he go, well, right, that's it. Go and play the Comedy Store again. Go on. And he's right. He's right. If you think about it, he's right. You go, hold on a minute. Oh, why am I moaning about being knackered? It's the O2 out there.
Yeah.
And there's 20,000 people have turned up. What's the matter with you? You're not tired. Take an aspirin and get on there, you know.
Always a pleasure to speak to you, young man. I wish you continued success in whatever it is you choose to do.
Thank you very much, Phil. I really appreciate your time. I
Dear
really
boy.
do. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lee Evans, ladies and gentlemen.